Right, hello everyone. The episode one of Diced Again, a Blood Bowl podcast, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Crow Dog.
Oh, hi, Keith. Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, go away. How are things?
Things are all right. How are your things?
Oh, my things are fine. You know, technical difficulties aside, we definitely haven't spent 10 minutes trying to get this off and running. But then again, I suppose we have been planning on doing this for months, so 10 minutes extra isn't that all.
No, on the grand scheme of things, yeah.
Yeah. So, episode one, I thought we'd take a look at Eurobowl and specifically your journey in Eurobowl, having been, well, we presumed you were Ireland's joint most capped player, but it turns out that's not true, is it?
No, you actually caught me there, bad. Yeah. Totally forgot about Home Nation Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
Home
Dan outranks me.
Nations. He does. So, I suppose, first of all, take us back. Your first Eurobowl was Wales, was it?
Wales 2018, yeah. So, Dan had been posting everywhere, trying to find people to play for Team Ireland. And I had never played tabletop. I'd only played Blood Bowl 2. So I was like, first of all, and second of all, I was like, oh God, this is like, I did some research and I found out, it's the best of every nation playing against each other. I'm like, I'm not fucking good enough for this.
Yeah.
But then it started to drag out and I saw he kept posting. And he kept posting over months looking for people. And I was like, he must be absolutely desperate. Sure, I'll throw the name in for the crack of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest is history.
So you got selected.
I did. It was the right Jack Charlton Ireland team. I was the only Irish person. We had we had two ringers. We'd former captain of Italy, and we'd a Spaniard, and then everybody else was based in the UK.
Oh, very good.
Look, we did really well.
I mean, yeah.
And it being my first time literally playing tabletop, I didn't do too bad.
That's the job. So was it a bit daunting, your first ever tournament, jetting off to Wales, meeting people you'd never met, presumably, playing a game you'd never played on tabletop?
Crazy, yeah, because I don't know, you're so used to, I don't know, you even ran about it this weekend about, the difference between playing online and in on tabletop, and it's, you can visibly see the tackle zones there online, or, the guard assist, and it's that much easier to work out and stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I suppose even I wasn't even factoring in the first time I played tabletop how long it was going to take to roll all the dice.
Yeah,
basic stuff like that.
And what did you take?
But no, I took Skaven because I was able to get the minis online.
Fair enough.
I bought undercoated minis online. Obviously, somebody else didn't want them, and I taught myself how to paint. I'd never done that before, and they weren't too bad, all things considered. Yeah, and I finished like way better than I would have ever expected. 3 wins, a draw, and 2 losses.
Fantastic, yeah.
Still my best Eurobowl finishing, unfortunately.
Yeah. So then Wales died down, and I suppose you're looking at the next one, right? A bit like how we're on the back of Eurobowl 24, and we're looking forward to Eurobowl 25. In terms of like selection, how did that progress for the next one? So 2019 then.
2019 was actually World Cup year. That was Dornburn.
Right.
And I went over with some of the Liam from Two Drunk Flings, who I don't even think plays Blood Bowl anymore, but he organised the team for that, so I tagged along with him. So then 2020 was supposed to be Poland, and obviously that never happened. But I think even selection that time as well, it was me, and there was a couple of other, I think we were after increasing to maybe 2 or 3 Irish people, but even that time it was still mostly people based over in the UK.
Yeah, for sure.
Was looking at going to Poland. Yeah, Malta is really where it got off. Then,
Fantastic.
like, it
Yeah.
was great
So
that we Malta 22, where again, no, this time Europe gone up to we'd a Eurobowl team and a European team, and it was all Irish people,
amazing.
which was brilliant because we were always there. It was just that we were all so disjointed and we were all thrown around the place, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah. The COVID really united our Irish Blood Bowl, really, in a way, getting everyone into
Yeah,
Discord.
like the amount of I would have met Aidan and different people in the Irish community afterwards, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Darren Byrne was such a brilliant crack," and I was like, "Sure, I didn't even know you were there."
Yeah, yeah.
All these
Everyone
Irish
just in
people
one
in a hall of
place.
1,000 people, and yeah,
Yeah, sure, this is it.
um, and then sure, yeah, like we'd and again then to kick on to Greece, and that we'd again another good, a very solid Irish team, and we had a great showing from the European team.
We did, yeah. We'll get on to the European and all that in a second. So I suppose before we talk about Greece, I suppose my message would be, or my question, I suppose, rather, would be if anyone is thinking about applying for the Irish team, what would you say to them? How would you recommend it? What would you, if anyone has like apprehensions about, oh, I've never played much tabletop. You clearly are someone who never played tabletop
Yeah,
before.
poster child
Just,
for it.
yeah. So, sell Irish Blood Bowl to someone sitting on the fence.
Oh,
They've
I
gone
wasn't
to a
prepared for that.
tournament. Yeah. Well, look, this is it.
I would say it's really not as bad as you think. Or don't be daunted or anything else. Be a troll slayer, be dauntless. It's like it's everybody is lovely. No, the other thing is because it's such a competitive team tournament. Um, everybody is lovely, but up to a point, they're still
Yeah.
looking to get a win after. So I had a yoke in Wales where I said to my opponent, I was like, okay, well, I'm not sure now statistically is the GFI and handoff better here or the pass?
Right.
And then I moved my mini over and I said, okay, I'm going to do a pass from this square. And he was like, no, you're not because you never declared it. And I was like,
Right.
okay,
Okay.
right, you got me there.
Yeah. So,
But that small hiccup aside, um, you'd be surprised, what level you could rise to and stuff. No, I would say anyone just flake on, go for it.
yeah, that's fair enough. So then you've done 2 World Cups, 3 Eurobowls. Before going to Greece, what were your highlights? What was your standout game, I suppose, between all 5 of those tournaments? If you could pick
Oh,
one or
wow.
two.
That's a very hard one. I suppose I don't know if I could say. Yeah, I suppose I don't know. The whole of Alicante, to be honest, was
Okay.
it was one of my best showings, which was a big help. And I don't know, we played like some top quality opposition. We played the team that finished second overall, and
Yep.
I won my game in that matchup. We played K Fog's team. I lost my game in that matchup. It was my only loss in the tournament. Yeah, it was just I thought that tournament, especially in comparison to Dornburn, was just so well organized and everything. But yeah, it would to be able to play players of that caliber
Yeah.
and know that you weren't you can match them and yeah,
Test your metal against some of the best in the world.
absolutely, yeah.
So then
Isn't that what it's all
you
about?
yeah. So traditionally you actually don't play very much tabletop at all, to be honest, do you? And this year has kind of been almost your most amount of games and tournaments on tabletop.
Yeah, actually hasn't been bad in fairness, but I've been making a good effort to go to the Irish tournaments. But I suppose the fact that there is Irish tournaments is a big help as well.
Yeah. More tournaments, more
It's hard.
opportunities to
Like
play.
Yeah, like I played in the tabletop league in Cork, but I'm living that bit further away, and then real life has got so much more demanding and will be for the next couple of years. So it's just not really an option. So I've got to satiate myself with Fumble, Blood Bowl 3, and then go into the tabletop tournaments where you can.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose. And then I suppose the one thing I want to ask really is how big of a difference is it getting back into tabletop, saying like you've not played for 3 months and in your first game again? Is there a bit of rustiness there? Or are you such a pro that
I
it's
don't find it. I don't find it too bad, although I do find, like, I have to, before I sit down to play the first game, I need to be like, okay, when do I roll for fans? When do I roll for, weather, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But, it's not too bad, I suppose, especially because you have the option of, like, the couple of Fumble tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, you do. It's still like something I was saying to you as well over the weekend,
It's,
right? Is the visualization is where I struggle a bit in like maybe not
yeah, and
necessarily
especially, like, I was
screening.
going to actually, yeah, or, you think you've got a screen because, like I said, the game shows you the tackle zones, and then you're like, oh, balls, I left a space there. That doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and actually, you going on there about, like, I don't know, I suppose that rustiness or whatever. It was like, I remember the first time, and maybe it was because it was the first game of Blood Bowl 2020. I was like, what the fuck am I doing at all?
Yeah, yeah, for
That was a
sure.
real, and especially then, your first time then playing at the World Cup. It was my first time playing Zans, and it was my first time coming up against defensive. My brain was just broken.
What were you playing against Sons?
OWA.
Okay, so you had a bit of guard
OWA with
and
Mighty Zog.
nice, nice.
Yeah, oh yeah, 3 or 4 guard, and yeah, it's not so fun when they're like, yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
nuts.
And an experienced player can definitely
Yeah,
take advantage of that, right?
absolutely. I don't know. The good players can tell when you're, I don't know, when you're rattled, and when to, make that push where you just go all in on the cage or whatever else.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. One of the standout games I played was actually UKTC this year. My very first game playing gnomes, and I faced into Deerald of Team Italy's Zons, who's obviously a very good player, and like the position. And I played like loads of Zons for the summer, up until UKTC was in August this year. So I played 4 or 5 tournaments with Zons. But like his first couple of turns of where he was positioned at defensive, like I had 3 or 4 guard on the team with gnomes, and it was just like everything was cancelled every turn, and it was insane just to watch someone do something like that. It was incredible. Um, and he
They're interesting because they're a team that anyone could do decently with, but like it takes someone really special to like get the absolute most out of them.
yeah, yeah.
There's a surprisingly high skill cap involved.
There is, yeah. Like anyone can take him and play him, and like you say, do okay. But it's to get that extra slivers of equity out of him, as it were. Um, but yeah, it just when you mentioned defensive there, just blew my mind. And Deerald, of course, went on to win UKTC, which is pretty cool, right?
So there again, like you had your opportunity, even though it wasn't with Team Ireland important, but you went out and you played some of the best.
Well, at UKTC, I played 3 Eurobowl players in my 6 games, which is insane. So it was, and
Yeah,
I was
there you go.
playing.
Like, and like, no, sorry, go on.
It was just like I was playing pure tiny little gnomes, having fun, and here I am facing like Dear Old and Bulldog of Team England and a couple of other lads, and it's just like wow, my poor little gnomes are really up against it. But we still went unbeaten because gnomes are OP.
They
It
sure
was,
are. And that wasn't even like they were kind of. It was one of the first tournaments with gnomes, wasn't it? So they weren't tiered very
yeah,
generously or anything, were they?
yeah. I mean, this is it. So they were still tiered above the rest of the stunties, so they didn't get necessarily all the right stuff because people, rightly so, predicted that gnomes are
No
quite
pun
strong.
intended.
Yeah, yeah, no. Um, but yeah, so gnomes were quite good. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing with them, and everyone I played that weekend, it was, well, I think 4 out of the 6 people, it was their first ever game against gnomes. So a lot of it was like, okay, I'm teaching them how to play against gnomes, really. Um,
Well, you had that bit of an advantage, didn't you?
yeah, well, I mean, I'd never played gnomes either before, right? Didn't know what
Well, yeah,
they
that's
were
true.
about. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk about UKTC and
But
gnomes, are we?
you know, you're going to just to reverse a small bit, like you were going on about, you know, why should someone put their name forward for, you know, Eurobowl or whatever? Like that's it. You know, how many people in the Irish League, or have you played on tabletop? Like you played as well, some absolute top quality coaches. You've come
Yeah.
out the other side, and there's plenty of people who've played you in tabletop and online or whatever, and got on fine. So you know, people are better than they think they are. You know, sometimes it's a bit of a confidence thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah, yeah. As Dimi G would say, it is all about confidence. And your ability to think that you haven't lost the game before you sit down is a massive it's a massive advantage, right? Like if you sit down against someone and you think, okay, there's no way I can get a draw even here, then you're kind of fooling yourself really at the end of the day, aren't you? Like you might as well just
Absolutely, yeah. Because I don't know, even then, almost the nerves would overtake you, wouldn't they?
yeah, yeah.
And you know your head is gone. You took a removal on the LOS, and you're like, ah, this is it. You know, I knew I was going to get ruined, and then I don't know. You're I don't know.
You get in your own head,
Positive mental attitude
100%.
is actually, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big factor.
And like people in
Or
Ireland,
definitely not.
people in Ireland, they're better than they think they are as well. Um, like I've not won an Irish tournament, right? Despite me being able to go and get results against, some very good coaches, I'll always drop something here and there back home because people are very good. People are good at Blood Bowl, and I've lost some games to people who haven't probably even thought about going for Team Ireland back home, which I suppose would be big um
Easily, yeah.
my big consideration for people is just like, sit down, have a think about it. If you're around next the start of October next year, think about putting your name forward. Expressions of interest and all that will open up. But yeah, so I suppose shall we talk about Eurobowl 24 then?
Do go ahead.
Sound.
It was
Um
your first Euroball.
it was, yeah. Um Dan put out Dan
In
Raging 82.
comparison, to say an event like UKTC, how did you find it?
Um yeah, I mean it was amazing, right? Like this year was a lot of firsts for me. Like Home Nations was my first ever team event. Um and then UKTC was my second team event and Eurobowl was my third. So it's been a year of firsts and getting used to it. I love team events. Turns out they're really, really fun. Even though I had a terrible record at Home Nations, I had such tremendous fun talking to, so many good coaches, and just even getting the chance to play them was incredible. Um, and then yeah, like to go on and take gnomes at UKTC was just it was bizarre. Like I wasn't going. I'd been invited 2 or 3 times, and I declined a bunch of invitations, a bunch of teams, and then the mentor fell and broke his leg, and all of a sudden a team needed a replacement, and I was like, fine, I'll go. No pressure. And then one of the
So
guys,
that was his excuse for not playing.
well, he ended up going anyway, but he dropped.
I was going to say, sure, you don't need it. You don't need a leg to play Blood Bowl.
No.
My dice rolling leg, not again.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where he keeps the sixes, you see, don't. But yeah, so it was pretty good. I was nervous going into Home Nations. I would guess, if I had to say, because I didn't have the experience of playing tabletop, um, in a team event, right? So Home Nations was a big eye opener for us. for me anyway. But yeah, and like maybe because of how green I was, that factored into my results a little. But who's to say? I'm still really glad that I put my name forward, and even though I destroyed my Zon record with a bad tournament, I built myself back up and went to Greece with new targets in mind, new goals, and wanted to see how we could do in the big stage.
And yeah, I suppose you saw the quality that you're up against, didn't you, at Home Nations?
Yeah, I mean, like to be honest, like Home Nations was always probably going to be harder for Team Ireland than the Eurobowl. That was something we definitely spoke about a bit, was how, like, if you lose a game in Home Nations, right? So for example, we played Malta round one of Home Nations, and then we lost, got destroyed. I was the only one to win round one, and we had to face Team England round two, which was just, completely unexpected.
More misery.
Yeah, more misery. And I'm sure, like, after that it doesn't matter. Like, you're playing everyone. It doesn't really matter when you have to play them to a certain extent. So it was always going to be tough for us. Whereas, people were saying to me that, like, okay, it won't be that hard in Eurobowl. Like, we'll play round one. If we lose, we'll face someone who will also have lost, right? And the matchmaking, the Swiss pairings and stuff will be a bit easier for us. So there'll be, even though round one mightn't go our way, round two might, and then, we'll never know where we are. So I had that in my mind. So we jetted off to Greece. I arrived on the Wednesday. We both arrived on the Wednesday, didn't we?
Oh, we did actually, yeah.
So we both arrived on the Wednesday. Went for, well, myself, I had the girlfriend with me, so we kind of did our own thing. Met up, had some drinks, and then on Thursday, you and me and herself went off to the Acropolis and did some sightseeing.
That was well worth it.
It was
And
good,
we'd the most ignorant waiter in the world.
We did, yeah. We had a couple. In fairness, most people we spoke to in Greece were really nice and really friendly. Um, but that one waiter we had on the Thursday morning just really didn't want us at all, and then had the nerve to ask for a tip.
It wasn't even the nerve of asking for a tip. It was when we said, no, we're not tipping. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Like, yeah, like why not? We'd spent, I don't know, like 10 minutes just sitting there waiting for him to, like, come and ask, see where we finished, or give us the bill or something. And in the end, I just had to, like, get up and walk in and ask for it myself. And then they still asked, did we want the tip? Which was a bit funny.
He was a gas man.
Yeah, yeah. So I only played one practice game while over in Greece, and that was against yourself. Did you pick up another one before that?
Oh, that's right. Yes, the day before.
Yeah.
No.
So we both essentially had
But
one
as I said, real
practice
life
game.
has been kicking ass.
Yeah, for sure. You
Yeah,
and
which is, I suppose maybe not ideal, but I don't know. At the same time, then, if you played too much, is there a small bit of a situation where familiarity breeds contempt,
yeah, it could
and
be.
you're like, I don't know, even almost half sick of the roster?
Yeah, I mean that's what happened to me, right? I had
You played a lot of Zons.
yeah, I played a lot. I definitely suffered from burnout going into the tournament. Which is why the tournament 2 weeks before Eurobowl, I decided to play Necro, just to have a complete break from Zons. Because I'd taken to like 4 tournaments, and I'd been playing them online and picking up practice games on Fumble and stuff. And I was just sick of it, right? So, and then funnily enough, our practice
Yeah.
game was Necro versus Euro WA, right?
Yeah, that was a draw, wasn't it?
No, you won that one.
Oh, did I? Oh, yeah.
You did. You did.
Geez, you'd
Yeah.
think I'd remember the wins in Greece because they were so few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, it did matter, right? You know, I'm not saying that you've beaten me, like.
I think you're forgetting that's Snapling Woody's game.
Yeah, you didn't beat me. That was a
Oh,
draw.
was that a draw?
Yeah.
Oh, it was and all, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Put that in your pipe and smoke
It felt like a win because I was down 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? The 6 or 7 points of Murphy's may have had an impact in that game. Who's to say? So yeah,
So going into game 1, we'd Lithuania.
we did, and we'd hotly tipped Lithuania as an easy win. Shall I say?
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that, but I definitely thought like it's winnable. You know, whereas
Yeah.
obviously if you got like in Malta, we got Spain first round where we were like, we're playing a team that really fancies themselves to win this out. This is possibly not going to be a W.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we'd Lithuania round 1. I had Pirate Bears Necromantic versus my Zons. And who did you face?
I played Lizzie's and I was a bit disappointed with the result.
Okay, talk us through it without talking us through every failed 3+, you know.
Without and I did this and I did that.
Yeah.
He, definitely, sometimes you sit down and you play someone and you're like, oh, this guy is a better coach to me. He sees things that I don't see and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that was the case in that game, and I still ended up down a touchdown. And then, I think twice I managed to chain push Mighty Zog onto the ball carrier and 3 dice blocks with block. No good. But anyway, that's Blood Bowl. So I lost 1-0.
You lost 1-0. Yeah. So you definitely felt you left a draw there on the table. Or perhaps a win.
Yeah. No. Look, in fairness, he did turn me over. He rolled the right dice when he needed to. So, but definitely, the draw was there.
Good. So, yeah.
How did you get on?
Well, Necro versus Zons is a matchup I'd played quite a lot. To the point...
They're both very popular teams with the rule set, weren't they?
They were, yeah. They both had 2 lovely packs. Extra cash for the Necro and extra skills for the Zons. So I played that matchup a bunch of times. Maybe like 6 or 7 like proper practice games, and I'd won, say it was 7 games, right? I'd won 6 out of the 7. So I was pretty confident.
So the matchup you were very comfortable with.
Yeah, very comfortable with, to the point where the only game I'd lost was against Purple Goo at Home Nations. So I was pretty confident. I was confident in my coaching ability as well, without being too mean to my opponent. Like, I think I had the racial preference, and I also think I had the coach preference. So we played it out. I kicked to him, and I turned him over. I think I turned him over. Maybe I turned him over. I can't remember. It was either 2-1 or 1-0. And yeah, it wasn't really an issue for me. I did a couple of chain pushes, sacked the ball. He had like a chance to sack it back immediately, like turn 6 or something, but I threw a foul in on a flesh golem and got the stun, which is what I needed to do. And then, yeah, like I said, I can't remember. Was it 2-1 or 2-0 or 2? Let me see. 1-0, yeah. So I guess I didn't turn him.
Don't hear you.
Yeah. So I did actually turn him over, and then I just didn't really push.
You didn't get scored.
Half. Yeah. So that was fine.
Yeah.
So I won.
Because we did lose that round, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We lost it pretty comprehensively, funnily enough. I can't remember the exact score.
Yeah, but of course, Mankiz, who people may recognise from Blood Bowl 2 and other places online, was captain of Lithuania, and he's a very good coach, isn't he?
He is. Mank is very good, and he was up against our Renegades, which was a terrible matchup. Like, I'm pretty sure we could have all, bet on Mankas to take that one easily. At least in my head, I was looking at how we were going to win that round, and like you're already looking at. So in my head, I was like, okay, win for me, lose there. So like that balances out, and then it's where the other 6 games are going to go.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, didn't go our way, which is fine. So then we.
Do you know? I suppose before we go any further, should we just say very quickly what we took? Because there's a lot of way to build Zons, and
yeah. So for my Zons, I took the extra skill pack, of course. I played around with a couple of different rosters. Like for Home Nations, I took 13 players and a bribe, and a DP Zon lino, because I felt that was quite strong, but I thought it was a bit too variance, to be honest. So I took it to 2 tournaments. It didn't really do what I needed to do, and honestly, I kind of felt like it was a wasted skill. And the extra 100k is quite nice. Like you get an extra bench, and like an Apple or something, or 2 extra bench, or whatever way you want to fit it in. So I took 2 guard, strength 4 blockers, a block and a wrestle blitzer, a block thrower, and was it a block and 2 wrestle, or a block and 1 wrestle? Because you couldn't have too many of the same skill.
Whichever way it worked out, because it was 3, wasn't it, max? Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 rerolls and an Apple, 14 players. It's pretty strong, as it turns out.
Would it be fair to say that it was I had said in the group chat beforehand that we needed to take Zons? I thought it was insane that you could play Zons with 8 skills when they're usually tier 1 in tournaments with 6 skills.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so it was funny, right? Because it was my first tournament, and we were given a lot of leeway into what we could take and swapping and changing, right? To the point where I was looking at it like, okay, we have no one on like Skaven, we have no one on Underworld, and we have no one on Zons, and like no one wanted to swap to anyone.
This was pre-Underworld nerf.
Yeah, pre-Underworld nerf. So like in the build up to Home Nations, no one was on any of these races, and I'm looking at it like, well, I can't play all 3 of them. So Underworld were obviously the strongest. So I was like, right, I'll take these. And then they got nerfed, of course, in May. So I was going to the Danish Open.
Because you're a filthy tryhard, so you only take the best teams, yeah.
That's it, yeah. Well, I mean, what's the point in me sitting here and taking something that's like, subpar when I could take something to go and win, right? Like in fairness, it's a team tournament. Someone has to go and get wins. So, and like we're sitting there and like people are taking like Renegades and people are taking OWA, and it's like, okay, who's going to win games? So yeah, am I wrong?
Yeah, so you finished on Zons eventually.
Yes, yeah. I took the Underworld to the Danish Open post nerf, and I was like, yeah, they're a bit like, they're still fine, but they're not gonna like win every, like, they're not guaranteed to win or draw every game. Like they can get banged out, they can just get sent off or whatever. So settled on Zons.
Yeah, and I'd say it would be fair to say they were on Eurobowl rosters for most nations, and then everybody switched off them. Did anybody take Underworld?
There was a couple.
It'd be a very good question.
I think there was
very few anyway.
1 or 2 Eurobowl Underworlds, yeah. Like come like,
not unlike you weren't at Malta, but like I think every team had an Underworld there and a Necro.
Yeah. Like there was,
and probably a Dark Elf too,
because there's probably like 8 or 9 like must takes, right? And yet there's I can't remember exactly the numbers, but like most nations had like 5, right? And then depending on specialities and like what coaches were favoring, there was a bit of variance here and there. And like some countries just read the meta differently as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it can vary from place to place, can't it? But
Yeah. So, yeah, I settled on the Zons. I thought they were the best, I suppose.
yeah, I would say, and again, I don't have the stats in front of me. Maybe I should have looked at this beforehand, but I would say nearly every nation had it on, and with the
Yeah,
extra skill, because you couldn't turn it down, could you?
you couldn't. A couple did turn it down. Like, funnily enough, Ireland were the only nation to make use of all the skill points. You had teams like
That's right.
Canada
Yeah.
and a couple of others only using like 3 skill points or squad points or whatever the terminology is. Um, yeah, and like loads of them just left loads of skill points on the table because people were just more, I don't know, for whatever reason, weren't happy with what they had to give up, didn't necessarily suit the rosters or whatever. Like there was, as much as the extra skill Zons is probably like one of the best along with the extra cash for the Necro, not every nation took it because, they needed the squad points elsewhere, so the Zons were deemed good enough without the extra skill, basically. Which I think is absolutely fine, right?
Yeah. It
Um,
is, yeah. And I know this has been discussed ad nauseum at this stage, but it's not something I'd be keen to see in another tournament rule set where, you can be sitting down playing someone with 7 skills on and you're playing against someone with 8 skills just because their team could afford to give them the pack.
yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. I don't know if it came up that often, but then again, like a lot of nations will be more confident and right, like they'll have talked about it and they'll have decided, are you good enough to do without the extra skill, right? This,
Yeah. And obviously, like, for some races, it makes a bigger difference than others and blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, exactly. So then,
I don't know. I just personally, I'd rather that it be, I don't like the asynchronicity of it.
yeah, I get the like, you know, unfairness, I suppose, really as well, right? So you
Yeah.
picked up
For whatever value
OWA
can be got out
again.
of it. I did. I took them to Alicante, and as I said, we played some of the best teams in the world, and I finished very well at Alicante. Um, I'd sit out one game for our sub, but so I only played 8 games instead of 9, but I finished 4 wins, 3 draws, and a loss.
Very respectable. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took OWA with Mighty Zug. So 3 man, 2 of the gnome blockers, as Purple Chest would call them, with guard. They were literally just armor 9 guard caddies.
Yeah.
Dwarf Blitzer with guard, Troll Slayer naked, Human Blitzer with tackle, a Leader Thrower because I needed that to have 2 rerolls, and a Block Catcher. And
Nice.
I got a Halfling. It took me up to 13 players with Mighty Zog. And Zog is pretty good because, you're like Undead. You've got 2 big guys. One of them's got no nega trait. He's movement 4, block, Mighty Blow +2 on armor once per game. He's
Yeah.
pretty good, isn't he?
He's pretty good. Yeah, Zug's not bad.
Yeah, so it didn't work out as good this time for me though. But I think, there's just, like I said, some of those games that could have, a lot could have been a draw and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go into individual games now. So we lost round 1 to Lithuania, and so we got a nice easy round 2, didn't we?
Oh yeah, you see, you're like, oh yeah, it could be a nice handy game now. Some of the other minnows, nah, England
England, yeah, good old
again,
England.
like playing some of the real, like the best of the best. You've guys on that team that have won 4 or 5 Eurobowls.
6, some of them, yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Cave Hog, former world #1. Would, if you to pick out, top 10 Blood Bowl coaches, you'd probably be naming him in your top 10.
You probably would. Probably top 2 or 3 as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, not a handy draw, was it?
No, so it was very it mirrored home nations quite a lot actually. I won my first game and then I was top table round 2 versus England in both tournaments. But um funnily enough,
And who did you
purple
play in home nations, and who did you play in Eurobowl?
yeah, so home nations I played Purple Goo and his Necro, which I lost. And then in Eurobowl, I played Jumanji's Zons in a Zon mirror, which, funnily enough, was the first and only Zon mirror I've played to date. So,
Look at
honestly,
you.
yeah, honestly, like looking back on it, I don't know why I didn't practice Zon mirrors, right? Makes no sense because, like
We
we
knew they were going to be one of the
know,
most common races.
yeah, like looking back on it, like I should have played like 5 Zon mirrors before the tournament, but for whatever reason, I didn't even play one. So, obviously sitting down versus Joe Manji and looking at it, and it's like, okay, well, Zon mirrors, here we go. Um, so yeah, I mean,
But,
it was a game
Purple
that
Kid just
happened.
raised a very good point there in chat. Why didn't you play on mirrors? Because life is too short and they're so dull.
I mean, it's true,
It's like a
right?
dwarf mirror, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most mirror matches kind of suck, don't they? Um, like Kalon played 2 or 3 vampire mirror matches at Eurobowl, and I asked him like, how would you find them? And he was like, they're just a complete waste of time for like both of us sitting
It's
down.
just a dice fist.
It is like you're both just sitting there rolling dice for 2 hours at each other, and whoever rolls the most ones loses, basically. um,
Yeah.
which was kind of similar to how
And
myself. Go on.
just to get back on track a small bit, how did you find playing against Joe Manje? Again, one of the
We
top coaches out there.
Yeah, we played very quickly, the two of us. Um, like we both knew each other's rosters inside out. We both knew what we were doing. To the point where the first half was over and done with in about like 30 minutes. Um, so yeah, it was interesting. I was trying to like side to side, and obviously he's able to cover it pretty well. I eventually make some progress. He shuts it down, and I left like 2 outlets over on the other side of the field. So they were obviously where I was going to pass. So he shut down the advance forward in the cage, and then he snagged with the blitzer, doing the blitz, to get rid of my outlet. So left me with pretty easy 2 dice, and then a handoff and a GFI to score, and I snaked the GFI or the rush to score. So I'm sitting there like, great, I'm losing to Joe Manji because I snake, which fair enough. And then like we set
It
up,
happened. What can you do?
yeah, we set up and we play like the first 3 turns of his drive in about 10 minutes. So we're on turn 11 or 12 and we're 40 minutes into the game, and he just goes, listen, do you mind if we take a break for 10 minutes? Because he thought, like, I suppose in his mind we were playing too fast, and like he wanted to zone in and go for like make sure he gets the win, right, as opposed to just
Well,
like,
and I suppose also there's isn't because of the team nature of the tournament, there's an idea there as well, isn't there, that you don't want to be too far ahead of the rest of your team, because you need to know, am I okay to take the draw, or do I need to push for the win?
yeah, that's true. Maybe that was a bit more of experience from his point of view as well, yeah, that whereas I was just happy to play the game and get it over and done with. Because obviously going in against England, we're kind of expecting to lose again, right? So I did at the time, I found it hilarious that he's the one who's taking a break compose himself almost when I'm the one who snaked to score. I found that hilarious. So I went off anyway, and I got myself a.
Well, just to play devil's advocate here now, you did just mention as well that he snaked to
He did, of course.
in the build up to you scoring, so he would have felt probably a bit aggrieved as well and felt maybe I only conceded because of that snake or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I
It
still
balanced
had
out, I suppose, kind of.
yeah, like I still had a bunch of players in range, so it probably would have been like a 4-3-2 or something if he managed to knock down the other one. Like, there was always going to be options. Sons are pretty good, and even if they're marked, like it's pretty handy just to knock them off and get through, right? So that was fine. He came back and we played it out, and he made a little bit of a mistake on turn 15, I think, and I was able to come in and I can't remember if I sacked the ball or if I just like severely like marked and closed out the ball. But anyway, he had a bunch of dice to roll, like handoffs and stuff, and if the handoff failed and then it bounced around like 4 different times, and eventually he caught the ball on someone and then he re-rolled to not catch the ball because that player had already activated. And he managed to like get the ball and then hand it off or like pass it or something to the person who actually could score, which left him like a 3+ dodge and 2 go for it to win the game. And like I think he used like all 3 rerolls on this turn, or maybe something like that anyway. And anyway, ended up snaking the score himself. So 0-0 draw. Which was such a weird game because we're both just sitting there, we're both just screening, we're both just like probing here and there, and then we both just essentially snaked to score.
And well, that was going to be my next question, was like from a tactical standpoint, did he get all up in your face much, or or I suppose you're disincentivized from doing that in a mirror anyway, aren't you? Because
yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Ordinarily, if you're playing Zons, you're like, well, I can eke this bit of advantage here with my strength 4 guard, and I can shut down this line of blocks. Whereas in that kind of mirror match, you have the same strength, you've functionally got the same skills.
Yeah,
that little bit of advantage was very hard to find, isn't it?
It was, to be honest. Going into the game, I think he should have received the ball. He got the choice. But then again, like he doesn't know. Like in my own head, I was kind of hoping he'd receive, or I was kind of hoping he'd kick rather, because I know what I'm doing on my offense, whereas I didn't really know what I was going to do on my defense in a Zon mirror, like what he was going to try and do, and it was funny, right? Because he decided to kick. He showed me exactly what to do on defense.
Yeah, you had that information to use against him, didn't you?
Yeah. So I just played his game plan against him on my defense. Just call him screen and then like take a blitz, which is why like we just banged through the turns, right? Because we were just there and it's like, okay, screen's fine, take a blitz, step back, and then that's the same. So yeah, it was a fun game. It was interesting.
That's very good. And then I played Breakbonker's Skaven.
You did? Yeah.
And that was a tough game. He's new to Team England, isn't he? Was that was his first appearance? Did he play Home Nations? I presume he did.
Yeah. He was one of the 4 new guys. And he did play Home Nations, yeah.
Presumably everybody took full strength teams to Home Nations except Ireland.
I believe so. I know Scotland had one sub as well. And there was a couple of variations. Like Wales, for example, had Davo was playing with the Barbarians, and Dionysian was on Team Wales, and obviously he dropped out. So Wales had 2 differences as well, if not more. In fact, more, because Hellboy wasn't there as well. So yeah, there was a couple of subs, but definitely England and Malta definitely had the same full strength, I believe. And sure, Scotland didn't have Jock either as well, right? So couple of differences here and there.
And yeah, it kind of adds up actually when you talk about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we weren't too far off as well. We
So, oh yeah, I suppose I don't know. When I wasn't there, I didn't pay as much attention to it.
yeah, we probably had 3 or 4. I suppose it's like 50%, right? But
Stupid wedding got in the way of everything.
yeah, imagine getting married. But anyway, go on, tell us your match versus Breakmonker.
So Breakmonker, it's Skaven, and you're there thinking bollocks. Even if I keep him scoreless, or even if so I can't remember who won the toss, but I received anyway. And you're thinking, even if I score on my offense, he's got, he can just keep his rerolls for the one turn. He had, I think, a sidestep gutter, so getting the pushes, especially with frenzy and everything, wasn't going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So you're left thinking, then even is there even a point to scoring?
Right. Okay. It's an
Almost,
interesting mindset.
if I had a choice between making a bunch of removals and stuff, but then I don't know, can you take the risk of what was I going to say? I don't know. Skaven needs so little to score in the second half anyway, and can they defend the lead? But he made an interesting choice, and I didn't disagree with it. Was obviously you got to be so careful with Rat Ogre in a matchup like that where you're facing all that mighty blow and stuff. And he concentrated on one of the wings with the Roger, and he isolated 2 or 3 players. And I kind of had this difficult choice to make on turn 3 about whether I, stall any forward momentum in order to fight the Roger, or do I just abandon those 2 or 3 players and, take my 4 and 5+ dodges away from him? And I kind of, maybe did what you shouldn't do, but I split it, and I kind of half fought him and half tried to move forward. I did risk the team getting split, but it ended up being a match-winning decision because I was able to get the Roger down with the Troll Slayer, and then I got a +2 or 3 foul on him, and that was the Roger cast for the game on a foul.
Lovely.
Which is, like, I mean, as you talk about equity, that was huge.
Massive,
really takes ruins the risk for the one turn and everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's such a pain in the hole, right?
Yeah. So he half gave up the drive after that and concentrated on the one turn. But he wasn't successful anyway. I managed to make a couple of casts in after that, I think. Nothing major, nothing, I don't think chin a gutter runner or anything special, but
okay.
Yeah, and then he scored, after, maybe he did score the one turn. Maybe he did score the one turn.
I mean, you're the one who played it, not me.
I think he did actually. He scored it regardless. I remember actually thinking he was like, because there was a 4+ dodge thrown in there and stuff, and I was like, maybe, but no. And then it was his offense where things fell apart. I managed to get a very good screen going and ball based and stuff. And
I mean, that's GG.
Oh, did he? Oh, ball based. We might as well give up. But he had to. Did he have to block off what was marking the ball without block or something? He rolled 1 in 81 or whatever anyway. And I'm rubbing my hands in. I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. I've got the turnover. And then I had an opportunity to surf one of the gutters and clear the ball. And I was like, obviously I'm not turning that off. Unfortunately, it involved opening a 2 dice with Mighty Zog, and he quad sculled.
What a prick.
What a prick, yeah. So then that really threw things into flux again, and I'm like, fuck, I lost the game over greed. I could have cleared the ball and not got a surf, but, the 2-for-1 I couldn't turn down. But I can't remember, he had to make a 4+ pass or a 4+ pickup or something. It didn't work out for him, and I managed to get up the pitch and get the win. And that capped off a nice win for Team Ireland, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I mean, it was pretty close, right? But we took the round against England, and even
not the win that we were expecting. That's fair to say.
No, definitely not. I mean, like we all knew we were going to give them a game, right? And everyone tried their best. It was funny because our Renegades were playing KFO's Woodies, right? And on second table as well, which is just, hilarious after after everything I was saying about like our Renegades, and all of a sudden they're on the second table. Which is funny, right? Because did everyone lose round one except me then? Because he must have lost because he played Mankas. That's
Must
weird.
have. I don't
I
know.
don't.
I don't know. Shawnee is like you'd say renegade specialist, so it's all
He
he
is,
plays.
but he still lost, right?
League, tabletop.
Because Mankas win 6-0-0.
Okay, well he definitely lost. So yeah.
Unless he went 5-1-0.
Did Mankiz win best individual? So
He did, yeah. Yeah, that's really weird. Anyway,
yeah.
so yeah, and he was a landing on a TTM away from drawing versus KFO basically because he just removed the pitch. Oh,
No,
Shawnee drew
Kaelan
game
says
one.
here.
Oh, okay.
Shawnee drew against Mint.
Oh,
There you
cool.
go.
5-1-0. Excellent.
5-1-0 and Sean was the one. Glorious.
our renegades, not there to win. I take it all back, of course.
Oh, Shawnee
Um,
takes the win.
I mean, he
What was I
wins by
going to say?
removing the
So
other
then
team.
round 3. Sorry.
Shawnee wins by removing the other team mostly.
Yes, it's a very aggressive roster with the Roger and the Mino.
And we also messed up the roster as well, right? We had
Oh, that's right.
That's right, yeah.
There was a mix-up about the stacks or something like that. He took too many skills, and the organizers were like, "We're not letting you amend it." Basically, we're going to pick the first 6 players that you've skilled, and those are the players that get skills, and after that, nothing counts.
Yeah,
So he lost out on a couple of skills, didn't he? Because
he did, yeah. He lost out on 2 skills in the end, I think. But Airch was fine. He went off and he did his thing.
he still was probably our second best performer, was it?
He was, yeah. It was like, well, he was up there, yeah, for sure. So yeah, after losing round 1 and winning round 2, we face into Malta round 3 to round off day 1.
Another Home Nations rematch.
Yeah, another Home Nations rematch. I had a different player this time again. So at the Home Nations, I played Ryan Gretsch and his Dark Elves, whereas at the Eurobowl, I played Metal Malta and his Wood Elves. And
he's quite good at Blood Bowl as well, isn't he?
he is, yeah, he is. And this, as it transpired, was a loss for me. It was a fun game though. I enjoy playing. I get on well with all the Maltese fellas. In fairness, they're a good a great bunch of lads.
They're lovely,
they say. Yeah, they're really nice. And
That's chalked on one for Father Ted references.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually I came away
I'm
from
surprised
the
it took us an
Eurobowl.
hour.
An hour, yeah. It's well, I mean, you talked about the little cow before the stream started, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Was he small or was he just far away?
Well, I mean, this is it. Who knows? But yeah, so we ended up swapping shirts at the end anyway. I ended up losing. It was a really tough game. Like, I hadn't played Wood Elves versus Zons, but I'd played Vamps versus Zons and Slan versus Zons, and they're all kind of the same at the end of the day, aren't they? They all just come in and steal your ball at some time. So like you have to screen and you have to carry on the big girl, and yeah, I mean, it all worked. He scored. I forced him in like turn 6 or 7 or something, and I was left with a 2D block and a 4+ jump over and a 3+ dodge to draw half time. That failed. I think like 2 into 2 or something on the jump over. I love a good jump over me. I don't know if people know, but yeah. So that failed anyway, and he was really impressed. Funny enough, this is the only game I played on a chess clock, and he just brought it out straight away, and like I didn't complain.
Oh yeah. Actually, I played Break Monker at his suggestion with a chess clock as well.
From the start,
How did you
or
feel about chess clock?
yeah,
Yeah, from the start.
from the start, yeah. I don't mind from the start. Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah,
I've
me as
never.
well, because like if you bring it out halfway through, they could have already used, maybe 60% of the time you've already played, or
Yeah,
more. It depends on
this
the
is it.
opponent.
Like,
So I think from the start, yeah.
um, like to be fair, I'm fast
Um,
enough to not have to play on a clock. But like he brought it out and he was like, "We'll use the clock," and I was like, "Yeah, fine, no problem." And that was the first time I'd ever used a chess clock. To the point where I was like, okay, so if I was kind of asking like, so how do you use this? Basically, it's like, so if I press this down and then it's your time, and I press this down, then it's my time. Grand, sorted. It wasn't a very big explanation, but yeah. Didn't want to be playing on his time or whatever. So it was fine. We'd loads of time at the end anyway. Um, but yeah, it's really funny. Like you start noticing how much time you're spending on turns, right? Like you look over and you see you've like 20
Absolutely.
minutes.
You think you're like, God, I've been 3 minutes, I haven't rolled a dice yet.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. It's just kind of really eye opening. But like for me, I was so used to the team, so used to what I was doing. I was pretty easy to bang them out. But yeah, so I ended up my drive failed. I came pretty close to scoring, but against what else there's always a big possibility of a one turn anyway. So I think I fell 1-0, maybe. Whatever. Let's see. What does the sheet say? Yeah, 1-0.
You lost 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. So yeah, it was fine. It was a good game. Had enjoyed it versus Metal Malta. I think his name was Greg or Gregory or something. He's a lovely fella. And then yourself, what did you play against?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I have to fucking laugh here. We were actually only talking about this last night. Chris was after bringing up about the dice face not being right.
I said it. I called him out on it.
You
Like,
said this would happen last night, yeah.
I mean, I said someone will bring up the fact that you've done the dice logo wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. It was guaranteed, wasn't it?
I mean, you opened yourself up to it and you decided not to correct it, so that's fine. Maybe it's because
And
the
actually, all I had to do was
dice.
throw in a 3 instead of a 2. Well, that wouldn't have even been hard.
I mean, yeah, you could have just removed like two of the two of the dots on the 5. It would have been fine. But no, we'll just put it down to the fact that it's diced again, so the dice don't actually have to be right. But
This is all my own handiwork, and I don't do graphic design.
it's well done.
So anyway, yeah, Malta was a very tough game, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They're a good bunch of lads.
I think we might have got 8 losses there, did we? Or close enough. It was horrendous.
They completely blew us away. Yeah. I think it was.
Played Zons and I wasn't next or near him.
Yeah.
He didn't put a foot wrong all game. He obviously rolled average or above average anyway. It was the combination of him not making any mistakes and not rolling badly. It just gave me absolutely zero chance. He was just so good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all really good at Blood Bowl, right? Like, they're a small little island like ourselves, and they have a nice tight group, but they play a lot more Blood Bowl than us, and it does really show.
They do. I would love to go there for a tournament, like outside. Malta is probably one of my favorite Eurobowls.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I've heard high praise.
I've been there 2 or 3 times as well outside of Blood Bowl, and I must say it's just a beautiful country, beautiful people.
Yeah, except when they're beating us, But you never know.
Yeah,
we might get a return to Malta in 3 years' time for the World Cup. Have a bid in.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So we went day 1, not too bad. 1 win, 2 losses.
Yeah, 1 win, 2 losses.
It's not terrible.
I was 1-1-1 myself for the day. Which is fine, right? Take that most tournaments. I'd prefer an extra win or not a losing or something, but fuck it, 1-1-1 considering we played England and Malta and Lithuania, I think that's fine. And yourself finished on
1-0-2.
1-0-2. Yeah, it's all right too, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and then round 4, Australia.
Yeah. What did we do in between the rounds? So we went for a short
Oh, we
dinner,
went hard on
right?
the beer.
Did we? Yeah.
Oh, was that the night where they the €3 bottles of wine?
No, that was your Wednesday night, weren't it? Where one of
Oh, that
our
was. Oh, I think maybe that was the Friday night.
was it a Friday night? I mean, I didn't drink very. I drank more at
I
the tournament than I did outside the tournament. Like the only liquid I
because you
drank
knew
at the
herself was going to give you dogs abuse.
no, herself. I can hold my alcohol. Thank you very much. I always make it back to my bed, unlike certain members of some of some teams, right? Friday was a
Say
cheap
no
wine,
more.
apparently. There you go.
Yeah, Kaelon is the only one that actually remembers what happened.
Yeah, funny enough.
Friday night. Friday night is the €3 wine. Yeah.
Yeah. So no.
But anyway, how'd you get on against Australia? We actually played them again in Alicante. And not only that, I came up against the same guy I played in Alicante.
Go away. That's yeah. So I mean, obviously the round 4 draw was done before we left on the Saturday, wasn't it? Or like it was done while we were at home anyway. So like we knew who we were playing in the morning. So I knew I was facing Greedy Smurfs Chaos. So I'd done a bit of research, I suppose. Like I'd done some research against Pirate Bear as well, as I knew, because the provisional draw was done like a week in advance, right? It was done like the Sunday before.
Yeah, yeah. So you had time
like,
to look at the roster and everything else, like really
yeah,
look at it.
time to look at it. Time to look at the coach. I could kind of gauge how aggressive I needed to be, whether I needed to like just stand off and screen, or whether I can just like go in and try and get the sack and the turnover. That was pretty cool. And as it turned out, my good friend Hargrim had actually played Greedy Smurf recently enough at a tournament, maybe in Alicante as well, I think. So I was able to get some inside knowledge there. So yeah, we showed up, but like you never know. Like he has chaos. He has a minotaur with block. I think he had block and claws maybe. So like I knew like okay, well he's come in. He's like 3 dice blitzing me with mighty blow and block. He can just completely destroy the team. So I was a bit more standoffish, I suppose, with that in mind. At the same time, almost turn 4, turn 5, he just left 2 dice on the ball. I came in and sacked it, and we had like I couldn't recover it properly, and he was able to like get in and put pressure on, and then I think like a 1-9 or something. And then I was able to, like the turn after, I was able to come in, recover it, and run away. Was that another 1-0 or was that another 1-0? Yeah. So I think again this was another one where I think I just stopped the drive this time, and then I did my own drive. He had sure hands or something. I think he had a sure hands, yeah, and I got rid of that. Kaz, and yeah, I was pretty happy, I think, going into my drive 0-0. And then just sat down and drove for the win. It was fine. Lovely fella. We had some great times. I went off at halftime, and I think I got like 3 beers at halftime, and I came down and I offered him one, and he was like, no thanks. And I offered it like to the 4 people surrounding me, and I was like, do you want a beer? And I ended up with like 2 for the second half, and I was like, all right, fine. I couldn't get anyone to take a beer off me. Yeah. So that was fine. Yeah. Comfortable enough win to start off day 2, and again,
yeah, and obviously he must have been quite good with the chaos because he was playing near the top tables, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. It was was I on table? I was on table two at that point. Yeah. So the first time I'd not been on table one. I'd been on table one for the other. Oh no, was I on table one? Yeah, I was on table one for the other three games. So at table two,
Yeah.
fell all the way down. um, yeah, I don't know. Again, it was one of those like he obviously was outperforming some of the other rosters on his team to get up to table two. It was fine. Like he made a couple of
Yeah.
errors that I was able to punish. Um, I think like to take chaos in such an environment, you have to be like really really good with them, and Zons is a terrible matchup for chaos anyway, right? So yeah, it was fine. It was
Yeah,
comfortable.
not great. Because they don't like being based up and they don't have the skills to block you off, do they?
Yeah, and I
And
was
chances
just
are they're not taking tackle.
no. So it's just three dice splits with the mine on most turns, and I was able to almost let him like
And
give
even
him a
then,
target.
yes. But I was going to say, even then, he's got to be careful with the Mino, doesn't he? Because it's his win condition, and he can't allow you to just, because you've got the bench as well, he can't allow
Yeah,
you to just gang up and, let the frenzy get him into trouble and get a +4 foul or whatever.
yeah. It was easier in the first half. He played pretty well. Second half it was a bit more um my way, and I pushed for the earliest score um because his ball carrier was out and stuff like this. I pushed for the earliest score. Um, and
Yeah.
also because I'd stopped him on his drive, so I was happy to take the two or well, I think it ended up being a four turn, but I was trying to do a two or three turn, but he shut it down pretty well. And to be honest, there was a couple of times when I was going for the two or three turn, I was like, maybe I've messed up here. Um, I think maybe I stretched myself slightly too much, and I was like, ooh, this could backfire, and I could be on the back foot soon. But we got through it, got the score over the line, and then set up again to defend, and that went quite well. So yeah, 1-0 win for me versus the Chaos. And yourself?
So last time when I played him at Alicante, because obviously I played the same roster as I did in Alicante, he was Underworld. So this time he was Woody's.
Mm,
Um, and I would say that two of us were probably like kind of a similar level,
okay.
definitely kind of coaching wise. If I recall, I remember I'd won. I made a good share of Kaz in that game. Like there was some time I used the crushing blow to get an armor break on a war dancer, and it went into a Kaz
Okay.
in the first half. But I can't. I remember I was like, it was one of those games where I was like a 3+ away from winning the game. But anyway, them's the breaks.
Yeah, you'll have some of them.
I do remember coming away from that disappointed that I didn't get the win, but I was still going all right at that stage. That had me on a win, 2 draws, and a loss.
Yeah, fantastic. We had
It's a neutral record at least.
yeah, it's
But
I
I
mean
think,
look,
did we lose against Australia overall?
no, we won that one, didn't we?
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we beat
Oh, yeah, we did. Because we won
England.
2 rounds, didn't we?
Yeah, we beat England and we beat Australia. So yeah, that set us up for round 5 against Norway. Um, which was pretty cool. I got to play Zulu and his orcs, and it was really funny because he's a Scottish man living in Norway and I'm an Irish man living in Scotland.
Yes.
It's just pretty funny. So yeah, it's and I mean I don't
And
live too far from where he's from as well, so we were able to chat a bit about Glasgow and stuff, which was pretty cool.
Ark's another very popular pickup because they do so well now, don't we? The movement fight begins, and they got enough skills to get, their couple of guard, a tackle, a mighty blow maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty much what he had. He had a tackle and a mighty blow blitzer. Yeah, it's a tough game. Like, I look at it and it's kind of like, right, well, unless I turn them over, it's probably a draw, right? But
did he take a Mr. Troll?
I can't remember. I think so.
Oh my god, that's surely like the most important aspect of the game, to know whether he was a good coach or not.
I mean, I knew he was a very good coach. Whether or not he took a Mr. Troll is a different thing. I honestly can't remember.
They don't call a good coach and take Mr. Troll.
Well, he didn't have a troll, as far as I remember. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't have a Mr. Troll either.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Actually, I don't mind him for tournaments because the sure hands is nice, and pass free roll can, give you the option of a 2-turn anyway.
You can, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I mean, we played it out. He messed up again, like one of the turns. I came in and sacked the ball, and like long story short, he was able to like pick the ball up on a blitzer, like dodge out, pick the ball up in a blitzer, pass it to a guy in a tackle zone, catch it, dodge out and score. And it's like, okay, I did pretty good, but still 1-0 to him at halftime. And then I think I just drove for a 1-1 draw and got there. I don't think there was anything too exciting on my drive. Really, really tough. I think I got like, I was trying to switch back and forth, trying to get some space, and I couldn't really make any like progress. And then finally, like turn 14 or something, I got like 2 massive stuns on one side, and I was like, okay, fantastic, we're through. And then everything.
Did you carry on one of the Zon blitzers?
Yeah. That was something I tried to do a lot more. Pre-tournament, I was always just carrying on the thrower. And then some final preparations before the tournament, it's carry on a block blitzer. Because you can do the
got to do, don't you? Hit and run is just so good.
Yeah. Well, the alternative is, right, you've blitzers either flank, and then the thrower is central, so you can go either way, which is what I was kind of doing. But then, like, you're leaving yourself open to, like, another 3+3+. Or, if you can't hand it off. So maybe like another 3+. Yeah, so that was a change I made going into the tournament, thanks to some last minute training from my very good friends. But yeah, so I think we drove home 1-1 draw. I was pretty happy with that, to be honest. Against Zulu. I thought it was going to be a very tough game. So yeah, I was happy to get a draw and not lose, which was excellent. I mean, maybe like on a different day, like, that his score doesn't work, he won in 9s, or like fails the 50-50 pickup or 50-50 handoff or whatever. So like there was definitely room for a win there, but overall, I think the draw was fair.
And I would say that because it's a big thing, isn't it? From, I don't know, when you start out playing Blood Bowl and you have this philosophy possibly of, okay, my objective is to take as few risks as possible.
Yeah.
And I remember definitely when I started out, like I would, almost not even consider making a 4+. Whereas then when you get that bit more experience, you can, start weighing up the risk and the reward of, well, if I do make this, or, maybe I shouldn't be so afraid of it.
Sometimes you just have to,
or
right?
Even the 5+ or a reroll, like it's not even that bad, is it?
No, it's absolutely fine. And sometimes you have to be. Sometimes you have to be super, super aggressive and just go for it. Like, if you're sitting there on turn 8 and you're like, okay, so my only way to score is a 4-4-3-3-3-2, then what are you gonna do? Just block some guys on a 2D instead? Like, no, of course you're gonna try it, like, so.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, isn't it, that makes the difference between like a good coach and a great coach is, that they know when to push and when to like completely surround the ball
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when to take that risk, when
You'll
to be
see.
like, fuck it, I'm rolling the dice now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you'll see it. You'll see it like against some coaches. And like you can see when coaches make the mistake as well, right? They think that they're like they push too early and you're kind of looking at it like, "Oh,
Go
well,
all in
this
too early, give up a load of blocks, and
yeah, like this is like you kind of look at it, it's like, okay, well, I've plenty of time to recover if this pays off." Or like, they decide to like base everything up and then they go for like PC says there is to just 5+ in, right? But if they've based everything up and 5+ in and like you're Wood Elves and you have a 2+ pick up the next turn, then like what difference does it make if they sack the ball?
not so good, yeah.
Whereas like if someone just hasn't activated anyone because they've screened well the next turn, you've made no penetration, and then they just go, all right, let's go 4+1D on the ball and get it down, and then they have like half the team to react, and you're kind of sitting there like, okay, we're in trouble here, because if it works, they probably stop me and they might overturn me, which is massive. It's such a massive difference. Like knowing when to go as well is huge. Um, which
It's the
I'm
thing is, isn't it? The turn you decide, right, I'm going in, you've got to be like 90% certain that he's not clearing it, or, there's
yeah.
no reasonable dice for him to get out of this situation, because otherwise, like, you have to get the ball on the floor that turn, don't you?
Oh, you do, yeah.
Or,
Like,
at least set yourself up that the ball is going on the floor next turn.
yeah. I mean, take me example for this weekend, right? I played Wood Elves. I had a very good day one.
Woodies.
Day two, I had 2 games. Um, a draw and a win, or like 2 wins or whatever, and I win the tournament. And because of that, I was trying to be a bit more aggressive than I should have been, and I went in, half my team died on like turn 5, and I still almost got the draw out of it. But like I was, for the rest of that game, I was just there like, man, I've just blown this whole tournament because maybe I was just too aggressive. Maybe I should have,
Yeah, well,
just
especially like, going in that early, you lose the
yeah.
entire team, and then what's your game plan for the rest of the game?
That's the thing. I mean, I say lose the entire team. I got like a KO and a Kaz, but like the Kaz was a war dancer, and it's like, yep. So like if I
And
just
you're possibly capped at 11 players anyway, are you?
oh yeah, so immediately it was down to like a 7 or something. So you're just looking at it, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I should have just screened. Maybe I should just even let them score, right, and then try the one turn with 11, with like 9-10 players, and then drive for the win or the draw. And maybe that was it. And if I don't know, would I do it again? Maybe. But that definitely played in my mind for the rest of the game. So who's
I
the
would
second?
have to. What was I going to say? So I play. My synopsis is very short because I got absolutely diced out of orbit.
Against
I
Norway.
played Lizards for the second time against Norway, and he cast my Dwarf Blitzer on turn 2, and it was really just a taste of things to come. I think I was down to 4 players by the end of the game,
Flip, right.
so it was a very handy 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, lizards are pretty good, and they they seem to be a massive counter to OWA's advantage. Unless you start chipping a Saurus here and there. That has to be your win condition, right? Get rid of some Saurus.
Yeah, I suppose, but then like I got a couple of hits against Skinks, but they didn't die, and yeah,
Yeah.
it
So,
just absolutely nothing worked out for me. It was the one, like, it left me with a horrible taste in my mouth. I was just like, I had no chance in this game after about turn 5.
right, yeah. I mean, we've all had those games, right? Where you're just kind of like, right, well,
Yeah, yeah,
the rest of this now we've nothing. Like you'll still try, right? You'll still try and pull out a draw or something, but like, at the end of the day, you're massively up against it.
yeah. But it's almost, at least when it's Renegades or Chaos or something, you were like, okay, well, with all this mighty blow and stuff, it was Lizards. It was just 2 dice blitzes. They just happened to be all pows and tens.
Yeah, I mean sometimes that works, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. What can you do?
so Ireland fell to Norway. Meaning we were on like what 2-0-3 at this point.
Yeah. So then, of course, round 6, down at the very bottom tables, and who did we come up against?
Who did we come up against?
Italy.
Italy. Yeah, nice handy one to
Another one of
finish
the
off.
top nations. Yeah, nice handy game.
Yeah. So yeah. So were you on bottom table for this one then, was it?
Ooh, I might have been second bottom actually. I don't know how
Alright.
somebody had a worse record than me, but they did.
Not fully against the wall so for the final game.
No, but even like, when you're second bottom table against a team like England or Italy, like there's still no easy games, is there?
No, they're all really good. So who did you face first of all? Then talk us through your game.
I played dear old, who's very experienced Italian court. I didn't know him and I didn't recognize him, but I'd noted someone mentioned that he won UKTC possibly before or something. I'm not sure.
Did he? Yeah, maybe someone who played him with gnomes or something like that. About an hour ago. Yeah, he's very good.
He was Zons and he picked his turn to go all in for the ball very well, and it ended up that either of us could have scored in the first half on my offense. I missed a 4+ handoff in the rain into a 3+ dodge out score, and he had the same. I think he made the handoff, but I don't know, they failed the pass or something. But so yeah, it ended 0-0, and then second half again he kind of made a lot of Kaz with his Zons, and I'm like, okay, brilliant, another Mighty Blow team banging me out. Wait, no. So yeah, things were looking pretty depressing then, and I put one reroll into. I did a blit because he left. I thought it was a slight mistake on his behalf. He was up so many players, he didn't need to be making mistakes.
Yeah.
But maybe he kind of was a bit complacent. He left his ball carrier, just a square away from the end zone. So I was able to get a half dive blitz on him with the fling.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got 4 turns to equalize, and I've got a catcher. If I can just get the double push into the end zone or whatever, I'm okay here. It's 2-3 pluses, but it didn't work out for me. He scored, and then obviously because I was due a small bit of good luck, I made my throw teammate in the rain 4+ pick up with the human, 4+ handoff to the fling, throw down the pitch, 4+ landing, all the dodges and GFIs, and I didn't even need to use my team reroll.
Fantastic. So a draw, was it?
A draw, yeah. Although there was a timeout, so he actually had time for a 1-turn attempt of his own. But
all right, okay.
It didn't. But he knew how to roll the dice and how to do this on 1 turn. He just didn't get the dice first. He was a real top-notch coach.
Yeah, he was super. I enjoyed playing him a lot at UKTC. It was good fun. So that finished off your tournament. You finished off with
left me on 1 win. One win, 2 losses. No, 3 losses, 2 draws. Yeah, not great.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I'm good at counting. I am.
Not just a pretty face.
Yeah. Who did you play in Italy?
I played a lovely fella called Serafino on Wood Elves again. So I was like, right, here we go again. Yeah, it was a game of Blood Bowl. It was a game of Blood Bowl that happened. He was really nice. We got on well. We had a good time. I can't remember what happened. I scored on my offense, and he sets up and does the 1 turn, and scores it, and loudly exclaims in Italian that he's delighted he scores. And I didn't make the friendliest of looks, I suppose. And Kaelan was sitting beside me at the time, and he he said, "You gave him a look, all right," basically. But he was lovely, and like he apologized.
There's no need for that, is there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was one of those, right? Because we were having we had a lovely game. Like we were really like jovial. We were having good crack and stuff. And then next thing, like all of a sudden, like he does this in like round 6 of the Eurobowl, where like it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it does matter, obviously.
It was not a game of consequence, was it?
Yeah, like it wasn't like I was like BMing him the whole game, like I hope you fail and all this stuff. It was just like, like we were just chatting, we were pretty friendly, and then he just goes off and celebrate, and I was like, okay, right, fair enough. Yeah, so it was, and like he apologized, and I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, like, and then we just went back to being nice and friendly to each other for the second half. Yeah, no, like it wasn't directed at me. Like he was happy, and he was telling his friend that he'd done it and all that, and it was great. Like, but like it's one of those where you're sitting there and you're like, well, it's hard to be happy for him to have done that when he shouts and roars in your face and stuff like. But no, it was fine. It was like, honestly, it was one of my favorite games of the Eurobowl, and one of my favorite coaches. With that slight little bit in the middle, right?
Yeah. But again, there was no badness in it.
No, there was no badness in it. And like he wasn't doing it to be a prick or anything. Like he was just thrilled to have scored a one turn. I mean, his team was entirely set up for the one turn, and he got a quick snap. Like he has a frenzy dancer, a grab tree, and a sidestep catcher. Oh no, a sprint catcher. So like, I knew he kind of knew what he was doing with one turns.
We can only take his celebration that it was the only one turn he scored all tournament.
I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't want to say that, but no, he's lovely. Yeah. So 1-1 his drive. I'm just doing like columns and stuff, screening, blitzing. He pushes early. I push him back, and then he more or less he kind of chats with like his opponent, and he knows the win, like the round win is secure, so he's not necessarily pushing for the win anymore on turn 6. Like I was still like pretty well screened and everything. I did make a slight positioning error in which he probably could have come through on a 1D and a couple of 3+, which is fine. A slight error from me, which he turned down because I was in a pretty good position to turn him over at that point. And then he kind of just hunkered down, turn 7. He didn't even get like an outlet through, so I was like, okay, fine, it's going to be a draw. So because he didn't have anything through, I was just, okay, let's pound in, let's try and get the win here. So did all that. I can't remember if I sacked the ball or not on turn 16. I don't think so. I think I went for the cage dive turn 16 with a wrestle to get the ball down because I had like 2 or 3 scoring threats, but didn't work out, and 1-1 draw. And so that rounded off my tournament with 2 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss, which I was like completely delighted with after my 1-0-4 at Home Nations. So I kind of took it as a big sign of an improvement from myself in that 2 times.
Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, like at Home Nations, I turned a lot of draws into losses. Errors here and there just threw me off. Whereas at Eurobowl, it was almost more of like wins became draws, which I was much happier with. Obviously, I'd like to not get to that stage, but I think on a different tournament, I wasn't that far off of like 1 or 4-1-1 or something like that, which I think is pretty good, and a testament to how my practice went, I suppose, and also the fact that Zons are quite OP. That cannot be said enough. That the team helps.
Zons are pretty good. Who knew? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was us done and dusted. Team Ireland wins 2-0-4, unfortunately. But we had a
Yeah,
great time.
which ironically was our lowest ever finishing at Eurobowl.
Yeah, yeah. I remember
But
saying,
that comes with the caveat that we really hit it out of the park in Malta when we finished top 10. And
yeah,
Wales, which was our first Eurobowl, we finished mid-table. And like it was Greece's first Eurobowl as well, and I think they finished rock bottom.
yeah, yeah. So, again, like we had some pretty tough draws, but like fantastic win here and there versus England. But to be honest, like even starting the tournament, I was thinking like I was kind of saying 15th, right? Um, I was like if we
I was
came
hoping
like
for mid-table, yeah.
yeah, something like that, I think would be fine. But to come like 23rd out of 28, it's quite disappointing to be honest. Um,
It
and you
was, but I don't know if you did have a look at the table afterwards. One more win would have catapulted us up to 12th.
yeah, I mean, but this is
So
the
that's
thing,
how
right?
tight it was. And like you're talking about it, like you played round 6 against Italy, who are one of the Spain, France,
Yeah,
Italy, Germany, England, whatever. They're like some of the best Blood Bowl nations. So
yeah,
that'll tell you.
they had a poor tournament as well. Like a lot of teams were like England had a poor tournament. Um, but I think there is stuff where we could still improve, and definitely like looking at Eurobowl 2025, we could improve on things, and that's always good, right? There's always clear, like if somewhere like where if you come second, right? If you come second, there's obviously a lot less room for improvement. So you're almost setting yourself up for failure the next tournament. Whereas, we can only hopefully get higher next time.
We can't do worse, surely. I hope I haven't tempted enough, now, but
Yeah, yeah.
but of course I say we, but I won't be there.
No, you won't be there, and a lot of the lads who went to Athens won't be there. Um, looks like wholesale changes, which is interesting, right? Some new blood and stuff coming in, and yeah, I
It's
suppose
no harm.
no harm exactly. Um, we shall see. Things can happen, as they say. I suppose. Do we want to quickly talk about the Open and how because we did excellent there.
The boys did absolutely brilliant. Yeah. We had Will Walsh, who's good at Blood Bowl,
He is.
and Ufiki, who's also quite good at Blood Bowl, and is our assistant tournament director, or what do they call it?
He's one of the NAF reps.
And Antonis,
Yeah.
who is Greek but lived in Ireland for 6 or 7 years. They're 3 lovely guys, and they did fucking brilliant.
There was another one as well.
There
was 4 of them.
The 4-man teams, excuse me.
Yeah. Rags was there as well.
Oh, Rags.
Yeah.
How could you forget Rags?
I don't know, but you did apparently.
I did apparently, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the lads went off and they did fantastic. Fiki was on Necro, Antonis was on High Elves, was it? Rags was on Zons, and Willie was Willie Orcs? Or was Willie?
I think he was. Of course, this should be with the caveat that Rags likes the off-meta picks, so he was Zons with Glottal Stop.
He was, yeah. He does like a bit of Glottal Stop. To be fair, he put the practice in with them.
He did, yeah. He played them in Bleed Bowl in February, didn't he? And he played them in Ashes Bowl in Dublin as well in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had plenty of practice with them.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to, right? At the end of the day. So, and long story short, the lads went off and they got a very impressive 4-1-1, which we were absolutely delighted by.
Because the European, there's a lot of stiff competition there as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Like it's incredible. So yeah, a big boola bus to the boys. And well done. And then so I suppose the dice are down. The last game is done. we all know who won the tournament, right? We know who's coming second. We have the old shirt swapping, right? Um, we have a lovely photo of you and in your shirt swapped. Um, I believe there's some symbols on it actually, which are very historic in nature.
If they look like authoritarian symbols, that's a complete coincidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's very funny that you
I don't even know
decided.
how you could get that idea into your head. Like, I think you're just spouting someone else's opinion now.
I hear you're a racist now, Crow Dog.
Yeah, well, do you know what? No, it was Break Monker from Team England that I swapped with. He was a lovely opponent. I was happy to swap with him, and also we were around the same size, which is always a big help.
It helps for sure, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I walked away with not one but two jerseys at Eurobowl. I got Metal Malta's, the Wood Elf guy from Malta that I actually lost. And I also got Serafino on Team Italy. So I walked away with both my Wood Elf opponents' jerseys, which which is quite funny, isn't it? When you think about it.
Yeah, and of course, there was a bit of an issue with our jerseys as well, wasn't there? So these weren't the jerseys which had originally been designed. There was some problem. The website didn't ship, or I don't know, was it possibly a scam in the first place? But
I believe it was a scam, yeah. Which is pretty cool. No, wait, no, the scam wasn't.
Yeah, scams are cool. Yeah,
scams are really cool, guys.
They're really in fashion right now.
And if you would like to be involved in a scam, please get in touch. I'll happily take your money. Yeah, so we had some very last minute fruit of the loom local shop prints basically, which is not as cool, right? As this, like, you know, the jerseys we had in Alicante, right, which are just insane and really really cool. But still, our jerseys weren't too bad. Honestly, I thought they were going to be like really like rough in the heat, because it was hot in there and it was hot outside as well. So I was kind of missing my actual like soft synthetic ones, which are a bit more breathable. But they were honestly there was loads of room in them, thankfully. So yeah, that more or less brings an end to our Eurobowl adventures. We obviously have Eurobowl 2025 to look forward to. Rule sets we shall not talk about for whatever reasons.
That's a job for another day anyway.
Yeah. Expression of interest for Team Ireland should be coming in the next couple of weeks once the captaincy and all that is resolved. But if anyone is interested in playing for Team Ireland and you want to know more, feel free to reach out to myself or Crow Dog, or in fact to anyone on Team Ireland. We'll more than happily answer some questions, won't we?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's great crack. It's a brilliant trip. Obviously it's just, the cost of, can you factor that into your cost for the year? Because it's not that cheap either, is it?
No, and it's not that cheap. And I suppose the other thing is as well, like you said, our home nations team was slightly different from our Eurobowl team. So even if you can only, just go to home nations, no harm in just saying that as well, because more than likely we'll probably be looking for at least a couple of subs here and there. People like yourself, Shane, who couldn't go to home nations but were going to go to Greece. So
yeah, well, there was no way they're going to be able to afford both.
Yeah, and it's tricky, right? Like, it's pretty tough. I suppose in the meantime, in terms of our tabletops at home, we have Eurovision Bowl, which is the one I'm running this weekend. Obviously there are still spaces available, but but people, by the time you get in touch, you want to be doing.
How much can the GA hall hold?
Loads. we have something. I think we have like 30 odd now. We had like 2 people drop out, which is fine. Yourself obviously couldn't make it. I might play, I might not play,
Stupid work.
depending on. Yeah, stupid work and a couple of other things for other people, which is fine, right? Beaky
And did you confirm that the GA hall still has a roof?
It still has a roof. Now, whether or not it still has working heating is up in the air. So people might be told to wear warm clothing on Saturday. That's to be reconfirmed.
So
but
keep an eye on the Discord.
yes, definitely. Do you know what? Wear a jumper, wear 2 t-shirts, wear a hat, and I'll sure if you have to take them off, that's fine.
It's like trying to save bag space on a Ryanair flight.
It is, yeah. Pretend you're going out foreign and you can't afford a suitcase. Beaky announced today that dates and stuff are moving forward for Bleed Bowl at the end of January, which is really, really cool. And then the most exciting one of all, right? For, considering we're talking about Eurobowl and talking about Team Blood Bowl, is your one that you're putting together.
Oh, sorry. That's the most exciting one. That comes as a surprise to me. Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Look, I've never organised a tabletop tournament in my life, and know zero about any of this crack. But in fairness, a lot of the other lads on the Irish team have gone to the bother of organising tournaments. You've Peaky organising Bleed Bowl, you've done Mill Street, Danton has done Waterford twice, Aidan and Scrofula have done Dublin. So who else is going to do it? And we desperately needed a team tournament, didn't we?
We did. No, in fairness, it was a massive hole in the calendar that we spoke about. But sure, look, it's not your first time never having experience doing anything and just taking it and running, so that's fine. And you'll do a grand job, and you'll have plenty of experienced TOs there if anything does happen that can chip in.
Yeah, well, Kaelan's very kindly offered to be my +1 and keep me going.
Aww.
Because he'd be a good man now for that kind of crack.
Would he? Would he be a good man? He would.
He would. He'd be good. A good old skin. What was I going to say? And obviously, have you talked about the captaincy?
I haven't, no, but I suppose I can say. The exact details are currently, being mulled over, but there are 2 people going for the captaincy, myself and Raging 82, which isn't exactly an exclusive reveal, is it? Because that was announced by Raging 82 himself on PC's One World, One Blood Bowl a couple of weeks back. So exact dates and stuff for campaign and Q&As and manifestos and all that, and actual voting are still to be decided. My current aim would be to have it finished by December so that people can have time to get their expressions of interest.
Well, people have time to practice. Exactly. Yeah, obviously we can't take expressions of interest for the team until we know who the captain is or whatever. And
exactly, yeah, because depending on who is captain, they might want to do it a slightly different way or whatever. But I suppose for now, just have a think about it. And if you do want to play and you want to talk about it, message whoever you want, and we'll all give perfect good advice and encourage everyone. Yeah.
Who is your campaign manager?
I no comment. Can't release these details. But yeah, so I suppose by episode 2, right? It's episode 2. We're going to be looking at Eurovision Bowl, how it went, things that could have been done better, if anything, who won, rosters, and all that. And also, I suppose,
yes,
the captaincy.
Because we do want this to be kind of an informative podcast, don't we? So we want to talk over rosters and why something maybe wouldn't be the best pick, or what you could have done better, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely.
Not naming anybody specifically, but just I wouldn't take tackle on my North lineman because XYZ.
Yeah, for sure. But also, try to be very Ireland focused, right? So not just for Eurovision Bowl because I'm running it, but for every tournament. Hopefully do like a little recap. Hopefully get the TOs for every different tournaments on, and they can talk about their side of it as well. So we have a couple of ideas in the pipeline for the future episodes. So the next one will be Eurovision Bowl and probably discussing the captaincy a bit more. Maybe just who won it, how it could have been done better, whatever. But yeah, so I suppose before we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to say?
I So nothing specific anyway. I'd reiterate that Eurobowl was an absolutely brilliant time. We had it was very well run. I thought it was a great idea from the organisers to do the staggered running between the European and the Bowl, so that then there wasn't as much of a panic for say for example toilets when games were finished or at halftime or anything, or for food. And then obviously everyone we met was brilliant crack, with great crack with cauliflower and tree and the girls, didn't we? And some of the Northern Ireland lads and stuff.
It was fantastic.
We had drinks with some of the Yanks. They were great crack.
They were. It was really well run. I would highly recommend. My first one, absolutely no question about going to another one. It was brilliant. So I suppose for the podcast element of it, we'll leave it there. So I'll say thanks everyone for watching, or I suppose listening. Great having you, and thanks very much to Shane and Crow Dog for popping along and co-hosting with me.
Thanks very much, Keith. We look forward to episode 2.
We shall. Bye now.